Started. All right, welcome to our November meeting, Special Needs Advisory Coalition. Thank you all for coming. And I just wanted to remind everybody, if someone is interested in joining the meeting, you can always forward the newsletter and the meeting link. This is an open meeting to anyone that has a shared interest in the special needs community and supporting those with special needs in Palm Beach County. And my name is Carrie Morse, and I'm a consultant working with Unicorn Children's Foundation, and I focus on creating and building programs for individuals with special needs all over. And I'm really excited to have met all of you. So today we're going to do some introductions as usual, and then we have 3 speakers. If you didn't see the agenda, I'll go over it after our introductions. And so in the introduction, you are welcome to say your name, the agency or the group that you represent, and your title is sometimes helpful in some of the work that you do. And then if you have anything to announce, we welcome you to do that as well, such as new programs launched, events, etc. There we go. You can keep it short, your introduction, but we just want to make sure that everybody knows, what is going on in our community. So I'm going to skip our speakers because they're going to go into detail of introducing themselves, but I'll start with Sharon. Sharon?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Sharon Alexander, CEO of Unicorn Children's Foundation. We have a lot of exciting things going on. We just started our in-person programs for the winter at our Unicorn Connection Center. December 2nd through the 4th, we have our Creative Workforce Solutions Summit, which is a virtual conference focusing on outside of the box thinking in terms of employment and career building. And then on that Saturday, the 4th, from 1 to 5, we will be opening our center doors to the public. We have a variety of vendors who have created self-employment models who will be selling their products, and we'll be doing complimentary gift wrapping by our junior board. So even if you can't attend the conference, which you really don't want to miss it, last year's was really exceptional, try and schedule some time to support individuals with developmental differences who have launched their own businesses.
Great, thanks, Sharon. And I'm putting the conference link in the chat, and you guys are welcome to share information about your events in there as well. All right, Abby Zahn.
Hi, sorry, the mute wouldn't unmute itself. I'm Abby Zone, and I work for the Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County, and I coordinate our Jewish Disabilities Network.
Great, Abby, thank you. Cheryl Harris.
Hello, Cheryl Harris here. I am one of the administrators in the Department of Exceptional Student Education for the School District of Palm Beach County. It's nice to be back.
It's nice to have you. Thank you. Christiane Salgado.
Hello, I'm Cristiane Salgado, and I work for the Vocational Rehabilitation Program in Boca Raton, and I'm a senior counselor there. Nice to meet you all.
And for all the VR folks, we're really hoping that you guys can attend the conference. We're focusing on self-employment. VR is going to be there to talk about self-employment in our state and how counselors can support that for families. Destiny Rawls.
I'm Destiny Rawls. I'm an attorney at Legal Aid in the Education Advocacy Project.
Great, thank you. Erin Cantelmo.
Hi, that's good, Cantelmo. I'm Erin. I'm also an attorney with the Education Advocacy Project. I believe Erica San normally attends these meetings. I think maybe she's just in another meeting right now, but it's good to see everybody. I attended, I think, one of the last meetings in person before COVID, so it's good to be back. Thank you.
Nice to have you guys. It's always a group effort here at SNAC. Jeanne Malaco. Hey, Jeanne, can you hear us? All right, looks like she may have disappeared. We'll get back to Jeanne. Juana Venegas.
Hi, my name is Juana Venegas. I'm the director and founder of Minor for Inclusion Foundation. Sorry, I'm picking up my son. That's the reason that I'm talking from my car. What we do is we give healthy coping mechanisms for parents. We focus on parents so they can deal better with any diagnosis. And I will put our website and my email address in the chat. Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Thanks, Juana. Jeanne, you're back. Jeanne Malaco, can you hear us? Okay, Kim Harris. Oh, there's Jeanne. Go ahead, Jeanne. All right, she's having some technical difficulties there. Kim Harris.
Hi, my name is Kim. I'm the intake specialist in Unit 21D for vocational rehabilitation, and I complete all the intake appointments.
Great, important job, Kim.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Kimberly Jackson.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kim Jackson, and I'm the new program support coordinator for parents at Grandma's Place. I'm assisting with respite, mentoring, and training for parents with special needs children. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, thanks for coming, Kim. All right, Maria, you just moved there. There we go, Maria Lopez.
Thank you. My name is Maria Rojas Lopez. I am from the Early Learning Coalition of Palm Beach County. I am one of the customer resource managers in the call center. I do apologize, I cannot show my face. I'm working from home and the internet is coming back and forth, so I don't want to disappear. So I just prefer no face, so no bandwidth.
Thanks, Maria. Some of us know what you look like.
Thank you.
Mary Joyce.
Hi, my name is Rachel Baker Blackwell, and I'm actually sitting in for Mary Joyce today. I work at the Department of Health. I'm a social worker under the Office of Children's Medical Services, Title V.
Great, thank you for coming. Millery Sennett. Hey, Millery.
Hi, Terry. I'm sorry, Carrie. I'm Milano Sena. I'm with the Agency for Persons with Disabilities. We are still open and we are still helping families in the community. And thanks, Carrie, for all the resources you send us, especially about supporting employment. We send it up to my liaisons as well to see if families need to apply for it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And by the way, I'm hoping that maybe APD down the road can start working with self-employment as well. So hopefully those supported coaches can come to our conference, little plug, but thank you for always sharing stuff for us. Natalie Eno.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see everyone. I am Natalie Eno with the Treasure Coast Early Steps program. And we help families in the beginning of the journey. So we help the littles, the birth to 3 population. And also I'm a proud parent of a young adult with autism. So I'm a big believer of info sharing and advocacy. So this is a great group. I learn always so much from all of you, and thank you for all you do.
Awesome, thanks for coming. All right, Nikki Karatsas. You're on mute, Nikki. Nikki, can you hear me? You're muted.
I am talking to nothing.
There you go.
Hi, I am Nikki. I am with Behavioral Family Solutions, and I am on the road driving because I'm one of their sales team and marketing team. We provide ABA therapy for children. So my key points are talking to doctors and schools, psychologists, psychiatrists, neurologists, and the plethora of everybody who deals with children that do need help for behavioral issues, and helping with caregiver training as well. So thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Nikki. Raquel is not able to use her speaker, but she says that she is from vocational rehabilitation and she is their business relations person on the VR team. Thank you, Raquel. And Zippy, hey Zippy.
Hi, how are you? Sorry, it's been one of those days. I'm Tippy Rosen. I am the special needs community liaison outreach worker at Ruth and Norman Rails Jewish Family Services in Boca. We offer financial assistance to those that live in Boca del Rey, Highland Beach, for anything, you know, related to special needs. We run support groups, parent and grandparent support groups. I have a case management program for adults with special needs, and we are opening up a therapeutic center, hopefully in March, which is going to be a one-stop shop where we're going to offer therapies, OT, speech, PT, ABA, either insurance or sliding fee scale. We'll have a multi-sensory room. We'll do workshops and stuff, social skills groups, all that, all in one place. So we're really looking forward to that.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Jeanne, are you back with us for an introduction?
I'm here.
Sorry, wrong Jeanne. Two Jeannes, Jeanne Malaco, and then I'll introduce you guys as speakers. I think Jeanne Malaco is having some issues with audio, perhaps. Okay, no problem. All right, so let's get started with our agenda for today. I'm gonna pull it up here. First, the lovely Maryellen Quinn-Lunny with CARD, the director of FAU Center for Autism and Related Disabilities. She is now a doctor, you all, so congratulations. She'll present her findings of her research study as part of her dissertation focused on the lived experiences, beliefs, attitudes, and meaning attributed to the ASD identification process by parents of Black children. And she'll also review the barriers and facilitators to that ASD identification. So take it away, Maryellen. We're really excited that this is over and done for you, and you'll get to share all of it. If you ever want to talk about it again, I know that going through a dissertation is, you have to, you know, be in it to win it. So thank you for taking the time to share it with us.
Well, thank you, everyone. And I really appreciate this opportunity, Carrie and Sharon, for allowing me to do this. Hopefully it'll make a difference in our community because it's when you start, I think the phenomenological approach is really important because it allows us to really focus on the voices that families have. And that's powerful. So I'm just going to minimize here. So first of all, I want to say that I'm grateful and I'm thankful and I feel blessed to have this opportunity. I've been in the field for a long time. It's a real perk for FAU to be able to have this program. I had 2 students in college out of state, so there was no way that I would be able to put myself again through another graduate program. So I really feel thankful to FAU, thankful to FAU CARD, and then thankful for the opportunity to really, at this time in my life, to be able to explore this topic and to be involved in so many different research projects at FAU. Before we get started, I just want to identify, and I'm going to, this chat box is bothering me here. I'm trying to move this, here we go. Before we get started, I just wanted to kind of give a definition, what autism spectrum disorder is. It is a developmental disorder with deficits in social communication, social interaction, and the presence of restricted, repetitive patterns of behavior, interests, or activities that tend to persist across the age span. That's a really important piece of it, and that there are levels of severity. And I think through this study that really helped me to understand that there's a lot of myths about autism in the community among professionals as well as community members. So ASD manifests across the spectrum as mild, level 1 requiring some support, moderate, level 2 requiring some substantial support, and then severe, level 3 requiring very substantial support. And I think in my study and what we're seeing in other studies is that it's easier to obviously identify the kids that are more impacted, but the children and the young adults and adults, we're seeing individuals in their 70s and 80s being identified right now with autism. So it's harder for those that are, we think of as level 1. For the purpose of this study, Black is identified as a person having origins in any of the Black racial groups of Africa, including people who indicate their race as Black or African American, or report entries such as African American, Kenyan, Nigerian, or Haitian. And I decided to go with the Census Bureau because I wanted to look at globally that impact, not just look at one subgroup of Black. And the purpose of this study really is to better understand the lived experiences, the beliefs, the attitudes, and meaning attributed to ASD identification by parents of Black children, and to identify the barriers and facilitators to ASD identification for Black children. So thank you for letting me present today, because hopefully what we're starting to do is talk about some of these things at CARD and how can we help parents through this process. The statement is the problem, and if there is, the research shows there is not a lot of literature on the identification, and that's why I chose that piece of it, but the surveillance data shows that there's definitely disproportionality of Black children in autism. And there also, for those of you who are special educators, know that there is a history in special education of over-identifying Black children, particularly boys in emotional and behavioral disabilities, and also children in intellectual disabilities. So these are some references to really identify the statement of the problem. ASD is not thought to differ across race, but prevalence differs across the racial groups. We know that Black and white parents raise concerns to their healthcare providers at similar ages. So it's not that Black parents aren't picking up these differences in their children. And they're bringing it to their pediatrician to be able to go through that process. We know that Black children identify later than white children. We know that Black children are more likely to have a co-occurring diagnosis of intellectual disabilities. In another research project that we're looking at, we pulled 10 years worth of data from the state to look at race, ethnicity across intellectual disabilities, Black, and Hispanic, to see what patterns, and we're analyzing that data and sharing it with the school district. The other piece of it is Black children tend to be misdiagnosed more than white children. My primary research question was, what are the lived experiences? I wanted to understand what Black parents, what were their perceptions, what were their experiences through this process, to help us better understand, is the process different than for other parents? And I wanted to, some additional research questions are, how do Black parents and guardians describe their experiences and effects of the ASD identification process on their children? What meaning do parents and guardians of Black children attribute to the identification? And how do parents and guardians of Black children understand the effects of the identification process for ASD children? The significance of the study, I mentioned earlier that lived voices and experiences really help us to understand the problem. There's very little research in terms of, matter of fact, I only saw 1 or 2 studies, and they were very recent, that looked at this problem from the parent perspective. And then understanding hopefully will contribute to the body of knowledge, inform the literature, and assist in remediating the problem. We know that firsthand experiences inform practitioners' practices and policies, and that's something that hopefully we can help with that piece of it. And then I also was interested in identifying the barriers and facilitators that inform early and accurate identification of autism. Some of the research shows that Black children do manifest it differently. And there are cultural implications as well. So when I did my literature review, we all know that 1 in 54 children in the US is diagnosed with autism. It's not thought to differ across race, but prevalence definitely differs across racial groups. Black and Hispanic children identified at a lower rate than white children. Black children are identified about 40% lower than white children, and Hispanic children are actually identified about 60% less. Black and white parents raised concerns to their healthcare providers at similar ages. I thought that was interesting. Black children are more likely to have co-occurring diagnosis. So if we're seeing a Black child being identified with autism, one of the things we're looking at CARD is, was this a secondary diagnosis? Was the child initially identified with maybe an emotional behavioral disability, or maybe with an intellectual disability? So, because that's what the research indicates. Black children identified later than white children, about 1.5 years later. Black children are misdiagnosed more than white children. And then early intervention, we all know, that it can greatly improve outcomes for children at risk with autism and for all children. The other piece of it that's really important to look at is that as professionals, we not only support the child and the family, and it's important for that child to be identified earlier, but we also support the parents, and the parents we see as lifelong educators for their child. So we know that raising a child with autism is particularly challenging. We know that parental involvement is critical for positive child outcomes. We know that parent implemented early intervention promotes use of evidence-based strategies and increases parents' feelings of competence and empowerment. That's really important for parents to feel that they can do this, that they can handle this, and that they're able to work with their child and be able to help their child grow. The primary healthcare professionals play a critical role in facilitating timely ASD identification access. And that was something that was really came out clearly in my research. Parents do not receive the same level of participation and partnership with educators as white parents. That's something that's also in the literature. We know that parents of children with autism experience higher levels of stress, depression, anxiety, and anger. And so it's so critically important for children to be identified so that the parents can also get resources and supports and training. We know that delays in the identification and treatment of children with autism can produce added stress to the family, to the parents. We know that uninformed clinicians are a source of frustration and often complicate the family's ability to obtain quality services. And then increased awareness and understanding of autism is needed in the Black community. When we started this initiative several years back, when we got a grant, we were receiving pushback from the Black community because they did not want their children labeled. And what we had to do is kind of raise that level of awareness that if they're not properly identified, that's the key. The process that I utilized was I shared a recruitment flyer with the University Autism Center for sharing and posting on social media. The school districts, especially the ESC directors and the community agencies, I asked the individuals that I interviewed, I asked them where they received the information, and it was really from a variety of sources. And I really appreciate everyone sharing the flyer with parents. I also contacted eligible parents that were registered with CARD. The school district research and development department, I was able to complete a form and have that flyer was shared with principals. And then also, I thought a very helpful one was parents were sharing the flyer. So parents were sharing the flyer with other parents that they knew that met the criteria. And that was a huge part of the parents, of recruiting parents. This is just some of my data. There were 3 components of the research that I collected. One was a structured interview, anywhere between 45 minutes and an hour on Zoom because of, and then I also had a follow-up parent interview, and then also a journal activity for the parents to complete that required them to kind of think about things a little bit differently and their process. I interviewed 16 parents, and you can see 15 mothers and 1 father, which is pretty, mother-father combination, which is pretty typical. Typically, the rate of families, the divorce rate of families with autism is high, but I did not find that. In the families that I interviewed, 13 were married and 2 were single of the parents. You can see here at the bottom, the breakout between Palm Beach, St. Lucie was a huge, I was able to interview 8 parents from St. Lucie, 1 from Martin, and 5 from Palm Beach County. And then out of them, 10 were registered with the CARD Center and 5 were not. It was interesting also, there were 4 families that I interviewed that had multiple children with autism. And it seemed that in those situations, the older child was not identified. 1 child was, 2 of them were not identified till they were 13 years old. One was identified, both of them were higher functioning, and both of them, one was identified with other health impaired, and the other one was not identified at all. So you can see the age range. These are the parents here. These are the age range of their children at the time of the study. So a large range. And then out of the 15 families that I interviewed, 16 participants, All 15 participated in the interview, the structured interview, and 11 of the 15 completed the parent questionnaire, and 11 of the 15 completed the parent journal activity. What I did is I coded all of the data, looking at the transcriptions. I color-coded the interview transcriptions, the parent journal, and the parent questionnaire. I categorized the responses. I used a secondary coder from CARD, who was a Black professional. One of the questions I had was, did the fact that I was white influence the study in any way? So I wanted to look at that piece of it. And so some of the questions kind of geared that. I didn't think that it did have an influence, but I wanted to make sure that I had someone else that was Black that would help me in the coding to make sure that I was going through this process and identifying the theme and the themes and the phenomenon. And I did 4 cycles of coding through this process. What I found out is that the phenomenon is that, and these are just some of the quotes, and I just labeled them as unrelenting fighters. Black parents fight, they advocate, and they persevere in meeting the needs of their children with autism. Some of the statements that parents had, and this was overwhelming. Every single parent said they had to fight. They had to fight to get the diagnosis. They had to fight to get their child identified. They had to fight to get treatment and resources to understand. And what it helped me understand is that many pediatricians don't understand autism, and we're pushing back. Some parents, a couple parents had to change pediatricians multiple times in order to get, at least a referral. And one parent actually out of the study ended up paying for the referral herself because the pediatrician did not give her a referral. So, those kinds of things are just really, really challenging. And you can see some of the statements that parents said. I have to fight more for him because he has autism. Parents need to advocate for their children with ASD. Another parent said, be persistent. You have to be, it's for your child. Another parent said it's important to stand up for yourself, especially as a Black parent, and to push back against biases you are encountering by pointing out them. Another parent said you have to have a level of fight in order to do what's needed to get your children the services. And another parent said, so everything you literally have to fight for. So that whole theme of fighting and constant, and these were parents of children, very young children, and then also parents of older children, and they still feel like they're fighting for those resources and supports. And part of it is we don't have, one of the parents brought it up well, is that we don't have, there aren't a lot of resources and there are limits to those resources. So these are the themes that I identified: that Black parents seek and create allies to support them in securing ASD identification and treatment for their child. They identified other parents, they identified other professionals, they had advocates. And if they didn't have them, they would create them. They would find people that were like-minded and helped support them through the process. Another theme that I had was Black parents experience numerous challenges in seeking ASD identification and treatment for their child. Typically that started with the pediatrician at that level, where they were bringing up concerns about their child. One parent said, I'm not going to bring up, I want my child to be successful. Do you think I'm going to bring up my child if he doesn't have a problem? And I thought to myself, that made a lot of sense, So parents aren't going to bring up, if they think their child is doing well, they're not going to bring up a problem or a perceived problem. It's a real problem. So listening, being listened to is a real theme. Black parents experience unequal treatment in seeking ASD identification and treatment for their child with autism. I'll share with you some of the comments that confirm that. And then one of the things that Black parents often feel isolated in seeking ASD identification and treatment for their child. They're isolated from their parents because many of the grandparents are pushing back against that. Oh, he's fine or she's fine. Just give them some time. And then they go to the pediatrician. Oh, let's wait and see. He's fine. That kind of thing is happening. And so that was very loud and clear throughout the study. And then another theme, Black parents often feel isolated in seeking ASD identification and treatment, isolated in their family, isolated from their husbands, typically it's the mom, isolated from their parents. And so they're constantly, there's a process where they're bringing that up, and there's pushback from multiple sources, culturally, from their family, from friends, from others. And then theme 5, faith in God helps Black parents positively reframe their experience. Many of them talked about the importance of faith and importance of having prayer and God in their life to be able to help support them through this process. So here are some of the comments, and again, I really think they're very powerful, and these themes were identified across all of the parents. So the first theme, Black parents seek and create allies to support them in securing ASD identification and treatment. One parent said, find support groups or other mothers that culturally understand what you are going through, because these mothers can provide insight. Get an IEP advocate. Always seek a second opinion if you can try to find a Black provider. I think if they look like you, you may get more information. And that was interesting to hear. And that's one of the things at CARD, is that we're trying to identify providers that also that are Black, so that parents can feel more comfortable with that. Some parents feel that if that they will get further and through that process if also the pediatrician or the professional is Black. Seek out support groups. That was huge. All the parents felt that the biggest support for them were other parents. And there seems to be a network. We were talking a little bit about that, Carrie, before. There's a network where parents share information across, where they're a huge support for each other. I find it helpful for parents to have a mediator like FAU CARD, that the parents that were connected with CARD seem to appreciate the support. And another parent said, when I'm linked up with other parents, there's something powerful about this. So sharing that journey with another parent is huge for parents and through this process. Another theme, Black parents experience numerous challenges in seeking ASD identification and treatment. A few of those, the principal of the school was not helpful at all. They said they could not accommodate her at the time, and I did not know my rights. Another parent said the pediatrician did not pick up autism with either of my kids. She had 2 children identified with autism. Another parent said, a lot of people think you have to be nonverbal, throwing tantrums and flapping constantly to be identified with autism. And I think that's where the myths come about in terms of that. When people think of autism, they tend to think of that level 3 kind of child, where the higher functioning children that need less support are not being identified. Another parent said, we applied for ABA therapy, and because the caseloads are so full, you end up waiting on a wait list for God knows how long. Another parent said there appears to be a disconnect between the perception of resources and the existence of resources. In the end, we paid out of pocket for everything, a huge financial burden. That was a parent that actually had quit her job and went to another job that had more. She was a contractor and had benefits so that she could afford to get services for her child. The third theme, Black parents experience unequal treatment in seeking ASD identification and treatment. I was not listened to from the very beginning. That was a huge theme among parents with pediatricians. They feel that they brought up multiple times that there's something wrong. And pediatricians are supposed to screen children between 12 and 18 months for autism and for developmental disabilities. And that did not occur for many of these families. And then if a parent brings it up, they're supposed to screen. So there's definitely a disconnect there. I found my experiences minimized, the parent said. Another parent said, I've learned that people of color do not get the same treatment when it comes to healthcare and navigating the school system with IEPs. And that makes me sad. And I know it makes all of us sad to hear these kinds of things, because, and the research bears that out, is that the healthcare system is often uneven for people of color. Their speech, I thought this was interesting. Their speech, talking to white families is different than talking to Black families. I'm not a racist, but I do believe professionals have biases. So they observed in the waiting room at the pediatrician's office that there are that they feel that white parents are treated differently. They're given more information, they're given brochures and those kinds of things. And then this was very powerful. Believe us, give us the same benefits of a doubt you give Caucasian parents. The fourth theme is Black parents often feel isolated in raising their child with autism. I stopped attending church because everything stops and they're waiting for me to get this child under control, and I see the eyes and I don't want to place people in an uncomfortable position, and I refuse to apologize for my son. This is him. If you want me, you want all of me. So there was all of the parents that, even though they felt that they had a strong belief in God and that they had that spirituality, none of them attended church because they felt that they weren't welcome there, or their child wasn't welcome there. Another parent shared, my family lives far away. We do not visit them as much as we normally would because of the logistics of traveling with a son with autism. So many times what we hear from parents is that one parent will go and visit family and the other parent will stay home with the child with autism because of the challenges there. Some family members help us, others stay clear of us. And that was a theme all the way through, is that many of the families lost friends, they lost family members through this process because they felt that there was, it was the parents' fault that the child was not behaving, that you're spoiling the child, all of those kinds of things. So another parent said, I was so devastated when my son was identified and cried for days. I felt ashamed. I thought about what everyone would think. I was overwhelmed. And another parent said, she goes to a predominantly white school. I have no problem in that, but as much as I have a connection, I feel like I have a missing connection. That feeling of standing out, no matter where you are, and if your child is standing out too, many of the families feel because I'm Black, I already stand out, but then my child also, because of their behavior, often stand out in the community, at airports, wherever, so it's all of those kinds of things that really kind of add to that level of isolation. And this was a mom too that also had a girl. And girls with autism aren't typically identified between 8 and 10 years old. And typically they tend to, they're looked at for more emotional behavioral kinds of issues. So, whoops. Where am I? So, you know what, I think I labeled that wrong. This is 5. So the last theme, and I'll change that, faith in God helps Black parents positively reframe their experience in raising their child with autism. I think that resiliency there really came through in all of the parents. One of the parents said, I believe God will send angels in your path to help you through. She shared about different people that were brought in her path to help her, guide her through accessing resources for her child. Another parent said, my relationship with God has helped me to be a good mother, that she felt that spirituality and her prayer helped her to have the patience to be a better mother and to be able to really persevere through this process. Another parent said, when you accept God is in control and has a good plan for your child, you do the best for your child. A lot of parents felt a lot of pressure on their children to be able to get resources for them to be able to develop. And they were worried about the future and what was going to happen in the future. So they really wanted that early intervention, that opportunity for their child. Another parent said, I already had faith in religion, but I'm like God, I give it all to you. I honestly did not want to deal with any of it, but this little boy is looking for me right now and looking at, so this parent was, and many of the parents stated that I have to be there for my child because no one else is going to be there for my child. And I have to do everything I can to make sure I get every resource, every support possible for my child. And the last one, I think we all can relate to, there are things that the faith community can learn from these children about faith, forgiveness and love. Nothing bothers my son. He loves and forgives quickly. And that's something that we know about people with autism. They're very honest and they're very loving and sharing. And so I think that, that really sums it up nicely. So some of the things that I identified as facilitators to identification are that Black parents fight, they advocate, and they persevere in meeting the needs of their children. They will go through with the internet and resources, they will go do everything in their power to be able to get those supports for their child. They seek and create allies to support them in securing. That's really important, is to have someone to come alongside them, to help them, to share their experiences, to share what they've learned, to share different treatments and so forth. And faith in God helps Black parents positively reframe their experience, reframing that this is an opportunity as a family for us to come together. This is an opportunity as a person for me to grow and to learn and to focus on what my child, those positive things that my child brings to our family. All of them talked about how much they learned from their children and what better people they are because of it. And none of them would have asked for this, but they were able to really focus on what's positive about this and the challenges. So some of the barriers to identification is that Black parents experience numerous challenges in seeking autism identification. The barriers were at the pediatrician's office. The barriers were in identifying treatment. Many of the neurologists apparently don't know all the resources. So once they had the referral from the pediatrician to the neurologist or typically the neurologist, what would happen then is they were left. They didn't know where to go. They didn't know about early steps. They didn't know about the different programs. They didn't know about CARD. So that shows us that we have a lot to do in terms of really educating the community. Black parents experience unequal treatment compared to white parents through that process. It was really sad for me to hear, some of the things that parents felt that they heard and they saw and the differences. So I think we have a long way to go in terms of that. One of the things I'm hoping to do is to share this with the medical school, and then also share this with the pediatricians to hopefully all of us can do a better job in supporting parents. And Black parents experience lack of knowledge and understanding of autism by healthcare providers and educators. This is how does the study enhance the conversation? Hopefully, parents are leaders, and through transformational leaders, parents are transformational leaders. It's typically the parents, the mother, establishing a vision. They motivate others, they create a team, and they align that team to meet that goal. The goal is to develop and grow their child and get those resources and supports. Parents are creating a learning organization. Many of them, usher in their family through systems learning, personal mastery, mental models, shared vision, and team learning. What I saw in the study is that they typically it's the mother. She gets the husband on board, then the other siblings on board, and then the other that she works out to the other members of the family, and to create those supports. And then professionals, they're reaching out to professionals also. They need others on their team to help support them through this. Adult and community education, parents as adult learners engage in self-directed learning. They learn about autism. They learn about early identification. They become experts on evidence-based interventions. They learn whatever they can to be able to help their child. I think from the exceptional student education perspective, as parents identify facilitators and barriers to early identification and treatment of Black children, hopefully this information will help us to understand in our undergraduate, graduate programs, also in educating professionals, educating educators, educating parents on that process. And then parents, through their lived experience, inform effective professional development for healthcare providers and educators. So hopefully this will help from that heart level to be able to inform. So some of the discussions and recommendations is I really appreciate Carrie and Sharon and all of you, this opportunity to share this information. I'm hoping to get this information out to the community, to share the findings with parent support groups. Robin's Black's Parent Support Group, I'm going to be sharing at the 2 task force. I'm starting to share at the districts. I'm meeting with St. Lucie School District on Monday. I think it's next Monday, to share that. So any of you, if you'd like me to share this information with your staff, I'd be happy to do that, or with your agencies. I think we just need to get the information out. I'm looking forward to sharing the information with the medical school. We do quite a bit of training with the medical students, and hopefully to increase that level of understanding about autism and that level of empathy and working with parents. Share the findings with ESE directors and ESE staff across the 5 county regions, starting to do that. Findings will be shared with the Florida Department of Education to improve state practices and procedures and policy, and then at various professional conferences, and then obviously journal articles forthcoming. Some of the future research I know that we're doing, we have 2 additional research projects that CARD is doing. We received a Florida Developmental Disabilities Grant. That's strictly research, and recruitment just was completed, and we're starting to analyze the data. That has a quantitative and a qualitative piece to it. And then the Taft Foundation, we're finishing up and analyzing, Robin and I are analyzing the data for that. So we'll share that information as well, and it'll be interesting to see if that aligns with this. We definitely need increased research in understanding fathers' lived experience. We have a dad's support group. It's a real challenge trying to get dads together. They are currently not meeting because it was just through COVID. It was just too challenging. But I only had one father that participated in that, and I'd love to interview other fathers to see if their journey is different and how it's impacted. And then final thoughts. I think we have to look at, all of us that are parents are lifetime advocates for their children, and Black parents are lifetime advocates for their children with autism. They persevere through ASD identification and treatment for their child. They seek and create allies, including other parents, to support them in obtaining identification and treatment. They experience numerous barriers in seeking identification and treatment for their child, to include uninformed professionals, limited resources, Medicaid wait lists, and sensitivity on some professionals, and then myths about autism. Black parents experience isolation from family, from friends in the community in raising their child with autism. And that faith in God does provide Black parents hope, inspiration, a sense of control, peace, and provides perspective. So I think I want to thank all of you for this opportunity. I have references as well, but I'm going to stop sharing at that point and see if anyone has any questions. And I apologize if I went over too much.
No, that was lovely. So much information. Do you have thoughts, questions for Maryellen? You could take yourself off mute. That was great. Well, if you come up with any questions throughout the meeting, don't hesitate to put it in the chat. And then also, if you'd like to contact Maryellen directly, you're welcome to do so. Thank you so much, Maryellen, and best wishes to disseminate this information. I really think it's important for us all to really understand, from the first perspective of what families are going through. So you're doing great work, you and your team. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So now we are going to turn it over to Jeanne. All right, Jeanne and I will do a formal introduction here. Jeanne Petit is with the Multicultural Outreach Coordinator, that's her title, of the Parent Education Network. And I reached out to Jeanne. She shared some information about a workshop that she recently did on student-led IEPs with Creole-speaking parents. And I just thought, because of Maryellen's topic, this would go so nicely. We're talking about education, we're getting parent perspectives. So I just thought we could learn more from you. And so whatever you'd like to present from that experience, we appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you. Can everybody hear me? Okay, my name is Jeanne Petit. I'm a parent training coordinator, mostly for Family Network on Disabilities. I'm a parent and I'm also a professional, of course. And I just want to give you a quick overview of what we do here at Family Network on Disabilities. It won't be too long, and then I will share with you the findings of what we've been doing with parents. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me see really quickly.
Recording in progress.
Okay, I don't think I can share my screen, so. Is it possible?
Oh, maybe because you came in again. Let me make that
Thank you.
one co-host. There you go. Let's try it again.
All right. Thank you. All right. So Family Network on Disabilities, we are an organization that assists families. We really work hard on providing information, resources, and support to families, family members, persons who are suspected of having a disability, along with their families, of course. And so the most important to know is that we at Family Network on Disabilities are all either a parent or a person who has a person in their family that has a disability. So we're coming to you not only from a position of informing you, but we've really walked the walk. We've gone through the journey. We know what it means to have those type of challenges. And so we are across the state of Florida. We have Poppin in the north, which is a parent training and information center. We have PSN in the southwestern side, and I'm in PEN, Parent Education Network, on the southeastern side, which covers, of course, Palm Beach, Broward, Miami, all the way down to the Keys, and including the Treasure Coast. We also have Family Star, which provides support to families that have children with complex medical needs. So we're a nonprofit, of course. We're family driven because as this organization started in 1985 by our parents who really did not feel that they had enough information. So they got together and started sharing, support each other, and really working together. And this is how Family Network on Disabilities was created. So we're working from families, and that's why we're family driven, essentially. We're funded in part by the US Department of Education and the US Department of Special Education. What we like to let parents know is that we're not attorneys, doctors, or any mental health professionals. But what we do provide is a great database of information, resources, and support to families. This is our mission statement: to strive for complete integration and equality of persons with disability in a society without any barriers, and to serve families of children with all disabilities from birth to 26 years old. Of course, we operate under IDEA, which is the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. So this is sort of the family of services that we provide, of course, and this is the map of where we operate. We are parent training and information centers. So we have information, and we also work on training parents on the different components of special education. And of course, the resources that are attached to that. We also have family-to-family health information centers, which are for families to navigate the special healthcare needs. We know that disabilities sometimes are attached with healthcare needs that are more complex. So we're all over the place: social media, email. We can talk to parents. We can work with them on Zoom. We can assist them with their IEP, help them to know where to find the resources for the different steps that they're going through. Of course, we know there's early childhood, we have transition, and then transition to adulthood. Right now, we're not going out into the public, but that may change in the near future. So stay posted so we can keep you up to date with our activities. So we have technical assistance and training, of course, with the child being the center. The goal is to really provide the child with what they need. So equipping families, informing the community, of course, being able to work with the school is what we advocate for. We work with best practices, and we use evidence-based practices to inform parents and professionals who we work with about our findings, right? Because sometimes you have professionals, and with their discipline, they may not know of other disciplines or how disabilities are affected throughout. So we really pride ourselves on the information we share in that sense. So of course, help is available to you and your child. We not only have training for parents, we have trainings for youth, we have trainings for professionals like yourselves. We also have our website that has a number of information that we take from very complex legalistic language into things that are bite-sized and attractive and easy to read. So all these are really for our families to be able to get into the website and really educate themselves. Now, that being said, we prepare our workshops also for families specifically in Creole. And we work in Creole because we find that, yes, there is some cross-cultural differences. Yes, there are persons who are Black. That means that their skin color is Black. However, as persons from a different cultural group, there are particularities in the way that we live our experience as parents of children with disabilities, and in my case, with autism. So one of the most important things is to be aware of the sensitivities that the culture carries, because many professionals or persons that are working at the schools may feel like, well, we're providing them with the support, with the information. We're here for them. We've called them. We've initiated contact, but we're not getting any kind of response from the parents. And so what I say to that is that there are some cultural intricacies that have to do. And like Maryellen said earlier, a lot of families in the Black communities rely on religious practices or beliefs to carry them through. However, within those religious institutions and communities, there are also biases. There are also cultural understandings that also affect the way a person in the Creole community, how they receive a diagnosis for their child. And so this is an example of one of the workshops that we conducted along with Autism 509, which directly addresses the social cultural impact of religious belief and of the community, right? The social, cultural, community, and religious beliefs. Why? Because we notice that it has a direct effect on how families first accept what's going on in their lives and then start to reach out for resources. It also, difference in culture affects how a family interacts with one another. And Maryellen said very well, a lot of times you have the grandparents or the extended family that have something to say about the child's diagnosis. And guess what? In certain cultures, what the elders have to say has a very big impact. So what we try to do is continue to make a way or make sure that we address within that Black culture, there are other intricacies for cultures like the Haitian community or maybe the Jamaican or the Caribbean communities at large. So we found that having some closed groups help the parents to be more expressive. And in that way, they feel more comfortable speaking to someone that can understand them. Doesn't mean that the parent doesn't speak English. I mean, we had professionals, doctors, nurses that felt a difference in communicating with us in the language that they felt comfortable with. And that made a huge difference in the way they were able to get resources and ultimately provide support for their child. They also find here with us the ability for them to communicate to their families, to their spouses, what is going on. We also speak about the importance of caring for the caregiver, right? We know sometimes in our communities that families, the women especially, they are relentless in providing for their children, providing for their families. And the burden, of course, is even heavier with a child with a disability. So we address this as well by conducting workshops on caring for the caregiver. Now, we're still at the stage sometimes where we are doing some myth busting and continuing to encourage families to accept where their child is at. And that can be very difficult because sometimes acceptance may mean something different for them. Acceptance may mean like nothing's going to change. Where we're here in America and with the resources that are providing, we're trying to say, yeah, acceptance means, okay, the person has the condition, your child has this condition. However, there are interventions that are available. And even though it's not what you imagine for your child, or it's not something that you were prepared for, well, you do have a chance to get prepared for it. We also conducted workshops addressing fathers specifically. And Maryellen said that very well earlier. Most of the time, it's the mother who's involved, or the mother that's working relentlessly. And here what we did when we involved the fathers is that we let them see that there were other fathers like them who were living the same reality. And this bore a lot of fruit. We had fathers coming to us and saying, wow, I learned a lot, and I thank you for addressing this, because it's something that's sort of unspoken in our community. So we continue to work on bringing the information in the language that the parents are most comfortable with. We have how to conduct an IEP successfully in Creole, how to conduct SMART goals, caregiver stress, and especially transition. That's a big one. We have a lot of families that sort of, lived in some kind of denial. And as the child starts to grow and develop, and of course his adulthood, they're meeting up with a lot of challenges that they did not prepare for. So we also conducted a workshop called Is It Too Late? And that's for those very parents who unfortunately did not involve themselves as much and now find themselves with an adult child that has a disability and is not aware, does not know of resources. And of course, the challenges can be great if you can understand that. So that's what we do. And we are seeing more and more interaction from parents. We're seeing parents answering to our call, participating in our workshops, asking for 101 so that they can really integrate themselves on what can be done. Seeing other parents like myself or the parents here that I'm showing on my screen that are working towards our children's improvement and support. So when they see us leading by example, this is also very inspiring for them. And it helps them to stay away from the discouragement and to keep what we commonly know as the fight for services, the fight for integration, the fight for understanding and inclusion. So those are the activities that we have been conducting. And myself, I've been working along with NSU CARD to work not only with Black families, but with our Creole-speaking families. Because like we said, there is some difference that's notable. And if we can address the Black families at large, we can also address the families that are Creole speaker Haitian families. So I hope that this information that I was sharing with you was able to give you more insight on what we do, on how we intervene with our families, and also what we can bring. So we love to get ideas from the community. Sometimes we do, if they need to address something specifically, we can always organize a workshop to address that. So here's an example of what I mentioned earlier with the organization called Autism 509. We were able to get on our panel Dr. Vardy, which is really a community psychologist, helping us to address issues of denial, issues of frustration, parents who have felt isolated. We have here a pastor in the community who's able to address from a religious standpoint what it means to understand acceptance and how religious belief can affect not only the community, but how the family lives through their experience. And we have Miss Evelyn Alexandre, which is a founder of Autism 509, who has been instrumental in shining a light on autism and also other disabilities in the Haitian community specifically. So I hope that the information I shared was useful to you. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to send me an email. I already put my information in the chat box, and I would certainly love to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Jeanne. That was so nice. A question came up in my mind, or maybe just a comment. I was thinking about families that are connected to the disability community and how, they stay in tune and they stay in touch and they attend events and meetings and those kinds of things. And they've created a network for themselves. But then I also think about families that may not have, and how it's hard to sometimes bring them in to find that information. And I love how you've commented on bringing faith-based leaders and creating a conversation around those communities so that we bring the information to families that aren't necessarily connected to the conversation that's already happening. Is that where you're finding that you're able to connect with families that wouldn't have had that information otherwise and probably went years and years without having that same access?
Absolutely, absolutely. And just simply saying things in our own language, because we literally have to sort of spearhead developing the language of inclusion for our Creole families. Because when it comes to disability, there are some terms that are literally derogatory concerning persons that are disabled. And we are working to change that. We work here in the United States, and sometimes we've partners with people in Haiti, psychology, universities, and all those working in the disability community to exactly work together, because we can't be over here in America. You know, there's still a lot of connection between families here and families in Haiti that makes that kind of conversation relevant to what we're looking to do.
Wonderful. Thank you for your work. I really enjoyed listening to all the things that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for Evelyn Alexandre. She's here from Autism 509. She is the president and founder, and she's been doing amazing work with her daughter, Alize, who's also an artist. And so thank you for all you do and for connecting the community in the way you do.
Would you like to tell us a little bit more about the organization?
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Jeanne. I can echo everything Jeanne just said regarding our community. And exactly again, yesterday night, late, Jeanne and I were having a conversation about the community, the minority. And I said, Jeanne, you know what? We have to continue doing what we're doing and get to the leaders in the community, the pastors, the doctors, the other community leaders. And because when you say diversity, and I always say we are a diversity within the diversity. Now, what may be correct for a parent with an African parent, like Jeanne said, is the color of the skin, but culturally is different. So we have our own way, and the connection can be made. And as you can see, I'm gonna say, Mrs. Pinay from Autism Global Network, when you go there, the same culture, the connection is done. So that's when the parent who asks for help can really understand and connect, because we are same culture. So we go for there and then encourage the parent also to go out there and advocate. Not only us, educate, like Jeanne said, we do a lot of workshop with FND, the faith days, and everywhere in the community. So keep training the parent and the professional also to understand what is autism, to accept. Like I always say, if I cannot accept my child, I can come out there and tell you to accept the child. But before you accept, you have to understand. So we go out there, train and educate. So Autism 509, I've been created in 2014. I'm here since 1999. When I learned that my daughter had autism, it was like any parent. And culturally, Asian, when you say you have a child with different, they put you aside. You have a tendency to hide, you don't want to let people know. And that's what happened to me. When I get the diagnosis, I spent like 1 year in the US practically hiding from family and friends, because I didn't want them to know that I have a child with special needs. Until I said to myself, I have to get out there to get help for my child. And fortunately, I met some wonderful people, some wonderful advocates. It was in New York, and I started going to meeting and understand or see, educate myself and understand what is autism. And I say to myself, I have to do something for my community. And, you know, if anything, if I can make it easier for any other parent, that's my job. So what Autism 509, our first thing is educate our community about the condition. So the better you understand, you educate, you understand better, then you can go and share and make people understand and accept. So that's what Autism 509 is doing. In collaboration with Family Network Disability, we walk the parent through. The parent is new to the school system, you just come here, or maybe it happens often, the parent don't want to know, they don't go for the resources because they are ashamed, there's no Asian there. So Autism 509 hold the parent and walk the parent through the system. There are resources and services out there, so we walk them through, and that's what we've been doing and do.
Thank you. And we would love to share information as part of our Special Needs Advisory Coalition newsletter. If you have a flyer about your organization, that would be really helpful, or any events, trainings that you have, we can share that as well. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you. I will do. Thank you.
Yes. Does anybody else have any questions? So excited for today. I'm learning so much. So next up, we have Jennifer Harris, and she's going to talk from the perspective of 211 Palm Beach and Treasure Coast about current programs and services that she knows of and her team knows of available to families, especially during the holidays. We know that when the holidays come, many of our social workers and the agencies that provide direct supports to families, whether it be income-based services or food services, those calls become particularly higher during the holidays. And I just wanted to make sure that Jennifer could kind of keep us abreast as to some of the programs and services that we can refer out, and then give us information if we do get calls that we don't have information for. We can connect with 211 for that reason. So thank you, Jennifer, for joining us.
Thank you, Carrie. Exactly that. Right now, especially during the pandemic, things have been really tight for a lot of our families in regards to paying bills, electric, rent, losing their jobs. So now it's especially important that these other agencies are stepping up and doing food, Thanksgiving meals, holiday toys. So that may be one tiny little thing for a parent to take off their plate. We all have parents, I'm sure, that have copays on their insurance and for therapies or, behavior services. So if we can, alleviate any of that by, giving them some extra food, we're going to try and do that. So we curate a list every year, probably starting October, of agencies that, are doing meals or toys. We get it out on our website. I email quite a few parents, and let me see if it'll let me share my screen. Okay. This one just popped up first. So this is our latest toy list. The Salvation Army, the Angel Tree, that one is already gone. Usually it comes out in October and is done by now. But so this is what I would email out to parents, or what you'll see when you visit our website, 211palmbeach.org. So our database specialist, Judy, goes over these, the name, address, phone number, what you need to be part of the process. Some, like the top one, well, most of them are residents only to that city. But since we cover Palm Beach and the Treasure Coast, we try to get them all in. And anytime we have changes, we're notified and we change it on our database. Almost all times you probably do need to bring the child for toys. Meals, not as much. And I'll email this list to Carrie. But as you can see, we do have, Okeechobee, Fellsmere, West Palm, a little bit of everywhere, not so much in the South, like Boca del Rey for the teens. I mean, not the teens, for the children. It's gotten a lot shorter each year I've been here. But yeah, agencies all over are struggling. So just a little bit of, where you need to go. You can send your families. They don't need to say, I heard about it from FND or 211. They just, do what it says on the list here. If they serve only children below 10, it'll say that. Photo ID, all that good information. And let me get you to Thanksgiving. Hold on one second. Okay, so here, Thanksgiving is a little bit more heavy on things. So today even they have one in Jensen Beach. Some of them are already gone, like the fixings in a box where you can take it home and then prepare it at your place. A lot of those have already been done, but there are still some left throughout Palm Beach and the Treasure Coast. A lot of them are doing, which they had not done before, are drive-throughs due to the pandemic, where you just drive up, they put it in your car and you go. We have some specific to seniors. A lot of them though are for the whole family. Every once in a while, our special needs have gotten gift cards. So we've actually bought turkeys and fixings for the families. We did not get those this year. But whenever we do, we try and give it, out to special needs, our elders, our veterans, our Help Me Grow staff for children who don't have a diagnosis yet. And, it's hard for these families. Nobody, like the ladies were saying, they don't want to admit things are tight or, getting food that they can't feed their family during the holiday. It's just not a good feeling to have. But these places try to make it very painless. And don't demean anybody when they come. It's just, you need help today or for the holidays, you need help. No questions asked. We also do this around tax season for Vita Tax, the summer meal breaks, and hurricane season. So we do all that as far as helping our callers, not only with their different needs, but anytime throughout the year. Are like ancillary, seasonal, and we do the diabetes help when that comes out. So I will email these two lists to Carrie, but also check regularly on the 211palmbeach.org website as they do change, because when they call us, we automatically make the change because we want everybody to have access as soon as possible. And when you see these lists, have your people, don't wait till the last minute. We get calls, people calling the day before the holidays, expecting to get gifts for their children. Resources are so tight, it just doesn't work. There is one organization, I kind of keep this one a secret because they're so overburdened, but the organization is called Believe in Santa. And if you have a child in your caseload that a special need, physical need, their parents may be overseas, you call them and they actually have Santa come to the house and deliver presents, not only to that particular child, but to other children in the household as well. So you can go on their website and fill out a form for them. I usually choose one special family a year because I don't want to overburden their organization. And they will do it throughout the year. So Santa can come pull up in a fire truck in July. A lot of them do that at the hospitals, and Santa will come in July and deliver some presents to kids. So any questions? Thank you. Thank you.
All right, and great info indeed. Evelyn, you said that you had one more thing to share, right?
Yes, I miss what Jeanne mentioned. My daughter, beautiful young lady, 23 years old. She's an artist. She paints. And last July, she participated at the USF art show, virtual art show. Her painting was one among the 10 paintings selected. And I just spoke to Mrs. Williams at the Broward Performing Center, Art Performing Center. So my daughter will have a show. She will have a table of all her work at the Broward Performing Arts Center on December 12th. So then again, I would miss that. I want to say in public, thank you, Jeanne. That's what I want to say. And it's not only that, I'm happy that my daughter, but right away, I reach out to other parents who I know their children do artwork or craft. They can either send the picture or participate directly. I don't know if I can share the information, or do you have it, Mrs. Williams?
I also put my email in the chat. I have a few things that we could talk about. The conference coming up, we do have exhibitors that are entrepreneurs. There's also Artists with Autism it's out of Broward County. I can connect you with Cynthia Drucker down there. And then Unicorn Children's Foundation has the Uniquely Gifted Boutique, where we are posting different products from vendors with different disabilities. So, and then there's lots of other marketplaces out there as well. We've invited them all to the conference, so perhaps we could talk about all of those projects to showcase your daughter's work.
Okay, thank you.
FAU CAR does an event too in April for artists with the city of Boynton Beach. So it's part of it is online and part of it is in person, and they exhibit all the art.
Okay,
so different
thank you.
types of artists. Yeah, thank you.
We'll keep your daughter busy, no worries. All right, so if there's no other questions I wanted to pose to you, I did hint at it at the beginning of the meeting. We are not going to have a meeting in December. The holidays are really tough for everyone, so please make a note of that on your calendars. We will resume the third Tuesday in January. And the idea is for the topic to be about grant funding, and I wanted to get your thoughts on that. A proposed description would be along the lines of foundation support plays a critical role in helping nonprofits meet the needs of our community. Join us to hear from South Florida foundations who are funding projects and programs that make a difference for our neighbors with disabilities, and learn more about their partnership interests for 2022. So we were thinking about funders that may be looking to move into or fund projects in Palm Beach County, those that have funded a large amount of projects in Palm Beach County already, and maybe hear from them as to what projects they have coming up, and giving us some more information so that we're all on the same page as to whether we're eligible, or what their funding interests might be, how they want to expand in our county. A, how does that sound to everybody? And B, if you have any recommendations as to funders that we should invite. And this isn't to say that, we want folks to take your piece of the pie, but it could be maybe a funder that you've been engaging with that may have not funded a project of yours, but you really think it's important for the community to understand what they do fund. So for instance, I'll just use Children's Services Council. They're usually a big role in this meeting. They fund very differently in Palm Beach County than in Broward County. And so when someone moves counties or has an agency in both, it's important for someone to understand, if they have a focus on early intervention, then that might be an interest of Children's Services Council, but if they work with adults, then perhaps not. So I think that this is a really important platform for funders to really engage with us and to learn from us and see what our needs are, but then also let us know what their qualifications and funding priorities may be. So I'll open it up. Does anybody want to share what their thoughts might be on that topic?
Carrie, this is Sharon. I just want to go back to the community needs assessment that we conducted in 2015, which really started off SNAC. And one of the priorities that were identified was to streamline the funding stream strategy. So I think it's a really not only good for our coalition members to hear about the different opportunities, but additionally the funders to become aware of who SNAC is, or remind them, right? Because a lot of these funders have now been in their own homes for the last 18 months, and not all of the organizations have actually survived COVID. So I think it's important for us to remind them that we're still here, that the need is greater than ever, as well as for us to learn about them.
Great point, Sharon. Thank you. Does anybody else have any thoughts? Well, if you haven't, sorry.
I just want to say thank you, Maryellen, for a really detailed report on those families. Thank you so much. It's definitely going to help us steer our work in the direction that we need to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. I suppose we'll end here. If anybody has any ideas between now and January, you're welcome to send them my way. We'll reach out in the next few weeks to guests to participate on that panel in January. And so if you want to make an introduction, then I'd be happy to connect and invite them onto that panel. So happy holidays to everyone. And we appreciate your time. And I love all of us getting together and really, you know, for an hour and a half, really putting in, you know, putting aside our emails and things and learning from each other to really make sure that we're doing the best work that we can across all community members. So thank you so much. Jennifer, Maryellen, Jeanne, Eveline, thank you for speaking today. We appreciate your input.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.